Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Charlie Hoke. My pronouns are he, him. I have the joy of serving on your board of trustees. It's my pleasure to welcome you here this morning. If you are here for the first time, thank you for joining us. We look forward to getting to know you. We invite everyone present in the sanctuary today to join our in-person community time immediately following the service. In the recent rearticulation of values that we American Unitarian Universalists hold most dear, love is the power that holds us together and is at the center. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. We are so glad that you are here with us today. We hope you find the service inspiring and meaningful. I invite you now to take a moment to greet one another, both online and in the sanctuary.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us today.
Greetings.
All right. Yes. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm Reverend Roger. My pronouns are he, him. Our chalice lighter today is named Brian. He reports that he's 21 years old. He is the chair of our hospitality committee. His favorite color is blue. And he lives in Oak Park. And finally, he's got really great hats. All right, let's join in the chalice lighting words. We are Unitarian Universalists. This is the church of the open minds, loving hearts, and helping hands. We take care of the planet Earth and each other.
Good morning. I'm Madonna Thielen and your worship associate for today. My pronouns are she, her. Love is at the center? Is it? When Reverend Emily gave me this prompt for today's sermon, I had to ask, is it? Is love really at the center? When I look around at the world, I'd have to say, no, nope, not centered on love. What's happening in Gaza reveals a total disregard for human life. The war in Ukraine grossly demonstrates the full impact of hate and revenge. Burkina Faso and other nations criminalizing homosexuality wreaks violence on human bodies and human minds. The failed governments of Haiti and Venezuela demonstrate the abandonment of their citizens and incites violence. So how do we put love at the center in this world not centered on love? To answer this, I want to share what I've been learning from the migrants that I've been working with these past few years. The first time I saw this was in a Mexican border town where migrants were existing in the town square. Months and months and months of living on the ground. Some had tents. A few portable toilets sat at the edge of this migrant camp, this squalid camp filled with human misery. Migrants desperate for the possibility of living a life without fear, for a chance to work, to feed their families. Migrants driven from their countries of origin because of violence and poverty and lack of love. And what did they do in the face of no love? They created little circles of love. They made friends of strangers. They shared what little they had: food, tent space, telephones, water, information. They watched each other's children. They helped those who were helping them. When love is not at the center, create small circles of love to surround you. That is what I witnessed there in that border town and continue to witness among the migrants here in Oak Park that we serve. Love being grown in the fertile soil of human need, human suffering, and human vulnerability. These migrants are offering us a lesson about putting love at the center of our very fragile world, not centered in love. Whoever you are, wherever you are on life's journey, wherever you are in the world, you are welcome here. Come, let us worship together. And now I invite you to stand as you are able and join Marty in singing "There Is Love."
We're going to sing this all together, and then we're going to sing it in a two-part round. And just follow me, you'll know what to do. If you know it, sing with me. And there is a love holding us. There is a love holding all we love. There is a love holding all we rest in. Oh, do it again in unison. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all we rest in. This love, you're first. There is a
For the love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
This is the time of the service where we share the joys and sorrows of the congregation. Reflecting what Madonna was saying, love is the doctrine of this congregation. And we share these in ways that we can do so from the pulpit or with a ritual. If you would like your joys and sorrow to be announced from the pulpit, you can write them in the binder, which is right outside the sanctuary, or you can email them to spiritualcare@unitytemple.org, and we can then announce them the following Sunday. If you'd like to talk to someone about what's on your heart, the spiritual care team is there to sit and listen to your joys and to lend a compassionate ear to your sorrows and challenges. Here are the joys and sorrows that we share this week. There are 3 joys and 3 sorrows. It's with great joy Jane and Norman Coleman celebrated their 28th wedding anniversary yesterday. Marty Swisher and family celebrates her son's 39th birthday. Christopher is the father of Marty's 2, soon to be 3, grandchildren. Happy birthday, Chris. Joy and Lisa Aiken's friend's daughter, Rachel, is no longer in a coma and is expected to recover in 6 to 12 months. Corinne Romani says that a close former neighbor and friend of the Mascaro Romani family passed unexpectedly. Memory is missed by many. Gabriela Zapata Alma mourns the passing of their aunt, Zedmara Leticia, a wonderful, loving, a wise woman who lived a full life. And finally, Ann Northrup shares that her father, Dr. Rob Northrup, died peacefully on Friday, July 12th, after a long decline. He was a member of the Unitarian Church in Ann Arbor and loved visiting Unity Temple. We hold Ann, her mom, brother, and family in our hearts as they adjust to this loss. Dr. Northrup's was a life well lived and included work with the Hospital Albert Schweitzer in Haiti. He will be missed. We know that many of us hold joys and sorrows in our heart silently. We invite anyone with a joy or sorrow to drop a stone in one of the bowls of water at one of the 4 stations around the room. We invite you to engage in this spiritual practice of silence during this shared ritual. Let us begin.
Let's join in prayer and meditation. Spirit of life and love, may we remain centered in this time when our nation's and world's challenges feel so present and so extraordinary. May we remember that there have been other times that have felt even more full of extraordinary challenges. May we be mindful that all of us in our own lives have seasons of extraordinary challenges. Indeed, that some in this beloved congregation are in such a season now. May everyone, wherever they are in their lives and circumstances, find ways to remain centered. May love be at the heart of that centering. Hear these words from Tanya Marquez. Do not fear agitation, for agitation is the rhythm of life itself, to be put into motion, to be stirred. Do not fear the movements that decenter what you always thought permanent. You carry within the center of your own understanding the compass to show you the way. Carry with you the love that will hold you, the vision that will guide you, the relationships to all beings in the world that will ground you. Go in peace and in gentle agitation to stir this world to the side of love. Amen.
Listening to a story, I invite you to come and sit down on the floor near me. I have a book called Mighty Red Riding Hood, A Fairly Queer Tale by Wallace West. Little Leroy LaRouge had a mighty fine collection of coats, but his favorite was a little red riding hood that his sweet old Moo gave him. It had frills and bows that made Leroy feel more special than a birthday cake. That riding hood was dang near all Leroy wanted to wear, so everyone called him Little Red, and that made him happier than a pig in mud. One day, Little Red's mama said, "Little Red, take this basket of my homemade pea bean fish bone muffins to your moo." Little Red was delighted to rid the house of those yucky muffins. He was even more tickled to get to visit old Moo. On his way to Moo house, Little Red happened to see a stranger. "Howdy," grumbled the stranger, glaring right at Little Red's riding hood. "Hi," said Little Red. He knew he shouldn't chitty-chat with strangers, but wolves were nothing but big old dogs, right? You bet your great Aunt Mimi they were. "You know, I usually only see frills and bows like that on girls' clothes," said the wolf. "And you know, I usually don't talk to strangers," said Little Red right back. "Guess we're both rule breakers." He waved goodbye and skipped away. Sooner than Sunday, that wolf caught up. Why in the name of the hill country do you wear that silly, swishy thing? Snarled the wolf. It's a riding hood, and it's not silly. It's my favorite. Thank you very much. Fluffy, puffy clothes should be on a girl, snapped the wolf. Well, it makes me feel like a firecracker, said Little Red, so I'll keep it right here. He did a twirl and waved goodbye. Little Red hadn't gone more than a few skips when, what do you know, that wolf was smack dab in the middle of the path again. Why not a red hat, the wolf persisted, or straight up and down red socks instead of all that flimsy fluff? Because I am mighty when I wear this, Little Red said to the whole wide woods. I'm not trading it for some plain old socks to satisfy a grumbly grump telling boys what they should and shouldn't wear. Before that wolf could grumble one more grump, Little Red spun around and was on his way. And here's the map. Looks like the wolf is taking a shortcut. Little Red was a hop, skip, and a twirl away from Moo Moo's front porch when, boo! There was that wolf again. Listen here, howled the wolf. Give me that hood and I'll find you one that's better for a boy. How about you find something better to howl about than my clothes, cracked Little Red. He'd about had it with this darn wolf. About then, out came old Moo Moo. Now, what's this hollering about, she said, as loud as a rumbling thundercloud. This wolf thinks he knows better than anybody who should wear my riding hood, said Little Red. That's so, rumbled Moo Moo, stomping over to that wolf. That's so, said the wolf. This boy's skipping around in a hood meant for a girl. This hood is meant for Little Red, said Moo Moo, and I gave it to him. Not to dress him up as a boy or a girl, because I knew he'd feel as mighty as a firecracker wearing it. Listen, said Little Red, shushing everyone. I'll give you this riding hood under one condition. Eat some of these yummy muffins so we don't have to hear you howling for at least a few bites. Little Red held out the basket. Moo Moo held in a laugh. And the wolf held open his big mouth. In the muffins went, and out they came. Ew, what in the name of a swamp sister was that garbage, spewed the wolf. Some homemade PB and fishbone muffins. You didn't like them? Little Red laughed. About as much as I like greasy piles of garbage, the wolf replied. Moo Moo snorted. His mama's muffins are nastier than poo on a shoe. Poo on a shoe, agreed the wolf. Poo on a shoe, Little Red chuckled. Looks like we can all agree on one thing, said Moo Moo. We can agree on two things, said Little Red. It's lunchtime. He took that wolf's paw in his hands and gave it a mighty little squeeze. And I can smell a pot of Moo Moo's chili cooking. You mean you want to gobble up a bowl with me? Whispered the wolf, suddenly shy as a butterfly. You've got to get rid of that shoe poo taste somehow, Little Red grinned. And there's nothing a great big bowl of lunch can't fix among friends. Friends? The wolf asked, squeezing Little Red's hands right back. Little Red winked and nodded. Come on. Before you get to gobbling, we have a few rules around here, Moo Moo said. We wash our paws before we eat, and we keep our chitty-chat nice and friendly so we feel mighty. Like a firecracker? Asked the wolf. Like a firecracker, agreed Little Red. The end.
Good morning. I'm Bob Inocenzi. My pronouns are he, him. As many of you know, I'm a member of the Unity Temple congregation and also a member of the Unity Temple Gun Violence Prevention Team. Each week, Unity Temple splits their offering evenly. One half supports the program and mission of our congregation. In July, the month when gun violence prevention is our Faith in Action focus, The other half will be given to the Institute for Nonviolence Chicago. Their mission is to dismantle violence and build a safe, peaceful, and just Chicago. In addition to intervening directly to impact violence when and where it occurs, INVC provides workforce development programs that lead to stable employment. 90% of the individuals who participated in INVC's HOPE program, HOPE, helping our people excel, enrolled in another program after graduation or gained employment. You can give a donation by placing a cash or check in one of the baskets being passed around now, or you can follow one of the many ways to give that are printed in the order of service. May what you give bring you joy and bring more peace into our world. Thank you.
Where we usually have a reading in the service, instead we're going to show this video that highlights a particular ministry as one way to transform the world through liberating love. It was created by many people in our congregation, particularly Kristen Gourlay, who was the producer and interviewer. I'm grateful to all of them and all of those who are part of this ministry, and there'll be more information about this at the tables in Community Hour.
I was 20 years old when I went into the county jail. Spent like 2.5 years in just the county jail alone, and then I, went into the Illinois Department of Corrections prison system, which I served 30 years. 30 years in prison. Yeah. You don't have too many good days or things that you look forward to. One of the things that everyone looks forward to is mail call. We had a thing where we would read each other's letters to each other.
The Pen Pal program is something that our Unitarian Universalist Prison Ministry, we help congregations connect in with the Church of the Larger Fellowship Ambassador of Illinois program. And there, the Church of the Larger Fellowship gives us names of people who have joined their national organization who are locked up in Illinois. And we Our program gets those names and then facilitates matches in congregations. So how people are matched is that they receive a training and they get to ask questions about what it means to be a pen pal, and they make commitments to be a pen pal, and then they get matched with the next person who's waiting. It's based off of a first come, first serve. So it's not necessarily based off of personalities. It's kind of like you meet someone and you see how it goes. Some folks express trepidation, like, what am I supposed to write? I have no idea what I'm gonna say. And often it's really just like, who are you? What's your life like? Having windows and connection outside is so helpful in a system that's pure function is to isolate and punish.
This gives them another real live window into the world, and that they can therefore engage. I personally, in write a lot of people, I think that I've always told people I get more from the writing than the person receiving it. They would say they've gotten as much from me, so it's a two-way street. I've seen people's change attitudes, but through pen pals, understanding that the person in prison is also a human being worthy of some respect, and that they're all not the prototypical, stereotypical thing you see on TV and so forth. They're just another person who made a bad mistake, who's trying to make up for the mistakes that they have made. Many of the people I know are truly remorseful. All of us change. None of us are who we were 25 years ago. I know I'm not, and I suspect many of the people watching this are not either.
My life right now is wonderful. I'm able to spend time. I wasn't there for my son. You know, I was locked up through his whole life. He's 30 years old now. I was excited to, my first time going to participate in certain things, whether it be voting, paying taxes. I have a great job. I'm a community navigator. I know many people that didn't make it out of prison. It's very important to give hope to those that may have lost hope.
In Unitarian Universalism, we remind ourselves that no one is outside the circle of love. And being part of the Pen Pal program is a way to live into that vision in a real, grounded way through relationship. We have the opportunity to do something real. And this is it. It's the Pen Pal program, forming relationships.
Sometime last summer, our family drove past a billboard in Racine, Wisconsin. On it was a beautiful, flowery image over a Progress Pride flag and the words, "You are loved." I was so surprised to see this, particularly in Wisconsin, and found it so beautiful I had to get out of the car and take a picture. Later on, I found the artist, Ray Senerigi, or Trans Painter, on Etsy, and got this image on a flag to hang in the hallway outside my office at 1019 South Boulevard, so that everyone who sees it will be reminded, you are loved. These are strange and challenging times, my friends, and so sometimes it is helpful to be reminded that we are loved. And in these strange and challenging times, sometimes it is helpful to be reminded how powerful love is. In our story, Mighty Red Riding Hood, the fairly queer version of the well-known fairy tale that was our message for all ages, concerning little Leroy LaRouge, who adores his Little Red Riding Hood, which makes him feel mighty like a firecracker. The big wolf that Leroy encounters him bullies him over and over again about the fact that as a boy, Leroy shouldn't be wearing that hood, and Leroy never backs down. At one point, he shouts, "How about you find something better to howl about than my clothes?" We don't know everything about little Leroy, but we do know this. He is loved, and he knows it. We can see it from his moo-moo and the way everybody calls him Little Red. We can see it in the way that he responds to that wolf, fierce and proud in his conviction about who he is and how he is supposed to be in this world. That is to say, no one other than himself. He is loved. Imagine for a minute if little Leroy had not been affirmed or loved for who he was, and then encountered that wolf who bullied him. It would have been a very different story. In Unitarian Universalism, we say love so often, or use the term so much, that it can fail to seem radical. In our worship service, we say and sing the word love at least twice in our covenant and in our doxology every week. We don't always take notice. When I reached out to Madonna this week and shared with her the sermon titled Love at the Center, she reminded me in her words that love is so often not at the center. So it feels especially important for us in this time, here and now, as Unitarian Universalists, to proclaim and live love in all that we do. Our greater Unitarian Universalist religious movement just finalized the touches on a central piece of definition for who we are in a section called Article 2 of our Unitarian Universalist Association's bylaws. It was a long process with much debate and drama, and ultimately we settled on this language at General Assembly. This is some of how we define our larger covenant. As Unitarian Universalists, we covenant congregation to congregation and through our association to support and assist one another in our ministries. We draw from our heritages of freedom, reason, hope, and courage, building on the foundation of love. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. Inseparable from one another, these shared values are interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of all existence with reverence for the great web of life, and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. Pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. Justice. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where all thrive. Transformation. We adapt to the changing world. Generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. And equity. We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. Interdependence, pluralism, justice, transformation, generosity, and equity, with love at the center. I haven't spent a lot of time with these words yet, but I can tell you that they cast a vision that I want to be part of. This is how I want to live my life, both individually and collectively. This is the society that I want to be part of, doing the hard work of making it happen. I am well aware and frightened by the fact that many do not share this vision. At the end of June, my wife and I traveled to Provincetown, Massachusetts for the wedding of a dear friend. The wedding took place on the stoop of their lesbian-owned bookstore on the main busy street in Provincetown. It was the best kind of celebration of love, authentic and fully reflective of the people the brides are and the community they have created. At the end of the ceremony, the brides invited us to populate a protest, and the entire gathered group marched down the street to Town Hall, reminding people to vote, shouting that we were what democracy looks like and what community looks like. It felt like the perfect punctuation for the ceremony, from a celebration of two people and their relationship with love at the center, to a multi-generational and otherwise diverse demonstration of democratic values, also with love at the center. The thing about love is that it is an infinite resource. There is always more to go around. Provincetown, at the tip of Cape Cod, is a beautiful place and has long been a haven for artists, lesbians, and gay men, arguably since the very beginning of the 20th century. Even the oldest continuing transgender event began there in 1975. 1975. That LGBTQ plus identity has deepened and broadened over the years. And let me just say that walking the streets of Provincetown is to experience a celebration of sexual orientation and gender diversity that maybe you have not experienced around here or anywhere. If you are in a same gender relationship, you have probably calculated at times whether or not you are in a place safe enough to demonstrate a public display of affection. I was reminded in Provincetown how infrequently I have seen same-gender couples even hold hands when they are out and about. When I'm in a place like that, I will sometimes think to myself, this is how the world is. This is how people are when we allow love to be at the center of it all. Why can't we all just embrace that? What is there to be afraid of? It's a rhetorical question. Of course, we've all been afraid when it comes to relationships or crossing boundaries or reaching across some sort of perceived or real difference. But we mostly, I think, try and move through our fear. When people ask me to very briefly define Unitarian Universalism, I often say, we are based in love, not fear. More often than not, when we reach out to others in genuine openness and curiosity, we can learn and grow in new ways. I so appreciate the way Reverend Allison Farnham frames the Pen Pal Prison Ministry Program. She says, Pen Pal programs are one of the ways to break through the isolation that prison imposes. Having windows and connections outside is so helpful in a system that pure function is to punish and isolate. We remind ourselves that no one is outside the circle of love. And being part of that Pen Pal program is a way to live into that vision in a really grounded way through relationship. Love is at the center of this program. In an earlier section of the Article 2 of the UUA bylaws, the purposes state, the Unitarian Universalist Association will actively engage its members in the transformation of the world through liberating love. In these strange and challenging times, I started a spiritual practice of posting something helpful and hopeful each day on Facebook. It's helping to keep me afloat when I could so easily fall prey to the despair and overwhelm the systems around us seem to be designed to evoke. One piece I shared is from my colleague, the Reverend Ashley Horan, who reflected on the theologies and ideologies of scarcity that frame the right and the contrasting theologies and ideologies of abundance on the left. She writes, "We have to craft narratives that are both credible and enticing, not just for ourselves, but for people who cannot remember, let alone conceive of, a love so encompassing that it is inescapable, regardless of who and what they are. This kind of love is not wishy-washy or passive or permissive. It's the most rigorous discipline we can possibly imagine. Despair, denial, self-righteousness, pettiness, vengeance, co-optation, and numbness will be our greatest barriers. Gentleness, generosity, joy, and rigor will get us over them. So let's summon our courage, grow our skills and our strategies, and hold the very real fears of the present in tandem with the possibilities we yearn to breathe into being. We can do this. Let's go." The other very significant event that happened at the Unitarian Universalist General Assembly this past month was the passing of a business resolution. It's one that names supporting trans, non-binary, intersex, and gender-diverse people is a foundational obligation revealed by UU principles and values. Alex Capitan described it this way: "The business resolution that passed with 92% of the vote is an even bigger deal because as a business resolution, it has more teeth and will help the highest levels of our denomination continue to take action in the public square for trans justice. It names that the ability to live ever more authentically as one's true self is central to a lifelong journey toward spiritual fulfillment. This is incredible, full stop. I would hazard a guess that it is the most powerful, highest level denominational statement of support of trans people any organized religion has made." And Capitan points out later in his blog that it's unusual for Unitarian Universalists to agree, so a 92% vote is extremely impressive. Now, in my lifetime, I've been to probably 20-some General Assemblies, and I've seen a lot of controversies and debate and boring business sessions. I've not always been a diligent attendee, but this one, all online, I was riveted to, and I was curious how the debate would go around this business resolution. The way it's set up, the procedures, the presenter of the motion, in this case, UUA board member, the Reverend Jikaran Olaoya, had 90 seconds to present, and then the pro microphone and the concerned microphones would alternate in 90-second increments until there was no one left at one of the microphones. So there were 5 people on each of those microphones. There were some inspiring and wonderful words in support of gender diverse siblings, and then there were some people who spoke against the resolution, one going so far as to call gender dysphoria a choice that people are making. All the con statements were harmful and hurtful, particularly given the religious context. And the debate ended, and the air, even though I was on the couch by myself, felt heavy and sad, and I could feel it in my body. And then the sponsor of the resolution, Reverend Jikaran, came back on the screen. And what could she say that could be the right thing, I wondered. And I found out. To my trans, non-binary, intersex, or gender diverse beloveds, lean in, she said. Lean in. I love you. I love you. I love you. Please do not leave this space without feeling the love and the love of others that see you as divine. I love you. You are divine. I love you. You are holy. I love you. You know who you are. I love you. You are worthy of being whoever you need to be to survive in this world. I love you, and I will say it for 90 seconds if I need to. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. Do not leave this space without knowing that you are loved. If you need a reminder, call me, email me, text me. What we will not do in this space is to let you go another moment believing anything other than the fact that you are loved. This is what it means to live with love at the center. I am never going to forget those 90 seconds. It was a powerful fire hose of love coming through that screen. In the latest issue of Uplift, which is the electronic newsletter that uplifts LGBTQ plus experience within Unitarian Universalism and beyond, staff members Adrian Ballou and Milo Way acknowledge the challenges of living in this time when so many of us are under threat. And they write, in order to survive, trans, non-binary, and intersex communities need to connect and be part of communities of care. We know how to do that. We are Unitarian Universalists, people moved by our own understanding of interconnectedness and human rights, people who offer pastoral care to each other, people who plan potlucks and worship, people who show up to town meetings and volunteer at elections and food pantries and more. We are imperfect and learning together, and we can keep creating the beloved community we want to see thrive. We come with not only fear, but with a true belief that community care can save lives, and Unitarian Universalists are capable of creating that reality. In our story, Mighty Red Riding Hood, at the end of the book, little Leroy LaRouge reaches out his hand, and he and Moo Moo extend their circle of care to the wolf. They invite him in for lunch, and they let him know the rules. We wash our paws before we eat, and we keep our chitty-chat nice and friendly so we feel mighty. Like a firecracker? Asked the wolf. Like a firecracker, agreed Little Red. Leroy, who knows he is loved, finds it easy to reach out and share it, creating more love. One of the things I found helpful these past days was this image from Dahlia Chapin-Shevin. It says, "Your heart is a muscle the size of your fist. Keep loving, keep fighting. Keep loving, keep fighting." May we live our lives with love at the center. May we build a world with love at the center. May each of us, every single one of us, glory us in all our uniqueness, whoever we are, know that we are loved. And so may it always be. I invite you to rise and body your spirit. We're going to sing Building a New Way. It's 10:17 in the Teal hymnal. again. We have to craft narratives that are both credible and enticing, not just for ourselves, but for people who cannot remember, let alone conceive of, a love so encompassing that it is inescapable, regardless of who and what they are. This kind of love is not wishy-washy or passive or permissive. It's the most rigorous discipline we can possibly imagine. Despair, denial, self-righteousness, pettiness, vengeance, co-optation, and numbness will be our greatest barriers. Gentleness, generosity, joy, and rigor will get us over them. So let's summon our courage, grow our skills and our strategies, and hold the very real fears of the present in tandem with the possibilities we yearn to breathe into being. We can do this. Let's go. Please join with me in the words of our chalice extinguishing. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.